Today on the show, we're talking about building up YouTube channels, developing thriving communities, and changing people's lives. How's it going, everybody? Jason Croft here. Today on the show, we've got Joe Scott. Joe is just one of my favorite people. He's so awesome. His channel, Answers with Joe, is just grown like crazy over the last year to 18 months. It's just skyrocketing. We'll link out to that. We'll have a couple of links there here in the show that you can click over to and check out. He's doing amazing things over there. Plus, he's got a supplement company, which he'll talk about in the show. He's also working full-time for VidPal. You may have seen Jeremy's episode there. My interest in having him come and tell his story here were several things. One is certainly some insights into, growing a YouTube channel and developing that community, because he's certainly done that so well. But we get into so much more than that, and really how to refine your message and what it takes to sort of blend all these different worlds together. Because we have there's a lot of us out here trying to manage multiple businesses or multiple interests, and I think Joe's doing a really good job with it. So that's enough blabbing from me. Let's jump in with Joe Scott. How's it going, everybody? Joe Scott is in the car today. I surprised him with our start. How's it going? Hey. Actually, I surprised him. He didn't even know he was on an interview show. I just picked him up on the side of the road. I don't know what you were doing.
I didn't even know this guy is.
So how's it going?
It's good. It's good.
This is awesome. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Yeah.
I thought we would drive around. We have a lot to talk about because you do a lot of stuff.
Yes, my wife can vouch for that. She never sees me.
The dog sees you. Does the dog see you?
The dog sees me a lot. Yeah. Now that I work from home, it's just I don't. This is actually a bad idea because I don't know how to talk to humans anymore. If I break into like a hey Joe Jason, hey Joe good boy Jason, don't take it personally.
He did that 3 times already in the coffee shop. It was very awkward.
And I did that to the barista, and I think they spit in my coffee. So.
That's why we got thrown out.
Yeah. That's why we're in the car.
So this is awesome. So I'm going to recap for you. Your life.
This is your life.
As a little boy.
Yeah.
Do you recognize this voice, Joe? No.
That just got creepy real fast.
That would be good. I've got Bluetooth in here. I can take phone calls on this.
Oh,
yeah.
I got an idea.
Interesting. So, Answers with Joe.
Yeah.
Video show that you've got on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Cankerboy Solutions, which we talked about on Startup Dallas.
How long ago was that?
Oh my gosh.
Was that like 18 months? A year and a half?
Oh, easy.
Maybe 2?
Probably 2 years.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so...
I was thinking about that earlier because... Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No.
You're doing a show here and I'm like just jumping in.
Yeah. Don't let me interrupt you, Joe.
I'm usually the one on camera.
Going down memory lane.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll link to that somewhere. Bing, somewhere along there. We'll
usually
link
on
to
that side.
Startup episode.
I'm used to doing this motion on the
He knows. Video. I have no idea. He knows. Cankerboy. Plus, you work for VidPal.
Yeah. As of November.
Yes.
So
cool.
I'm coming up on a year, I guess. Getting close to it.
Link to the episode with Jeremy Vest.
Yeah.
Of VidPal. We'll link to that one as well. There. We'll link to it there. So this is awesome. So I want to dig into several of these endeavors that you have going on because you're rocking it. You're doing some great stuff. I've watched Answers with Joe just skyrocket for sure.
It's been a good year.
Yeah. So talk to me about what the show's all about and what even prompted you to start the whole thing.
Well, we covered some of this the last time, but I can go over it again. No, it started as a comedy channel, really. I have a little bit of a stand-up background and a film background, and doing a YouTube channel where I was doing comedy bits and stuff seemed like a good sort of in-between. As somebody with a film background, it's really frustrating. You spend a lot of time writing a script, and then you got to go beg for money, and you finally get the money, and then you spend 6 months making it and 8 months editing it, and then people watching go, that sucked.
If you can get someone to watch it. after the end of all
Yeah,
that.
well, that's true. Yeah, I mean, then you got to beg film festivals to play. It's just this whole thing.
Right.
Whereas you can do a YouTube video and put it out and get told that you suck immediately.
Exactly.
So it's much better.
Right.
But I got started doing that, and it was always just sort of a comedy thing, and then it sort of skewed toward a science direction because I did a science video or a video on a science topic that, for whatever reason, did really well.
Yep.
And so that brought in a lot of people that were interested in that. And the original format, which is still fairly the same format, is that I would answer questions from audience members. So if I had people that were interested in science, they would ask me more science questions. And it's kind of went that way. And so now, actually, I think my favorite description is what I have on my Instagram account, which is mind-blowing answers to the most perplexing questions in the universe with jokes.
That's beautiful.
And I actually like that. I think that sums it up pretty well.
It absolutely sums it up. That's really good. Because I have an aversion to learning smart sciencey stuff. And yet I still find myself watching with fascination and interest your videos and learning something in the process. And it's so great because you've taken this, the teacher model with the whole thing very much. Like, you're going out, you're interested in something, you go out and research it and get all these, really condense all these other theories about it, facts about it, and put that out there for the audience in a really fun, easily digestible way. And then you also, you're very quick to say, like, oh, here's how I was wrong last week, which is just even more learning, right? For you and for the audience.
So, and it's I'm glad that you said that, actually, because I try really hard to not paint myself as some kind of expert on anything, because I'm not. And I'm not saying that to be humble. I'm just not. I'm not a scientist, and I'm not specifically trained in that way. I don't have a degree in that. And I have a pretty smart audience, and there's always somebody in my audience and in the comments who knows more than I do on the subject. So it's always a fun thing for me to, do a video. I mean, I research it the best I can. I don't want it to be wrong.
Sure.
But inevitably I'm going to be on something. And so I do the video, and then I look at the comments, and then I can do a live stream later in the week, which is just more content.
Right, exactly.
And I can follow up and be like, okay, so here's what was said in the comments. It looks like I might have been wrong about this, or I didn't catch this. Here's a perfect example. The video I did on Monday started off, it was supposed to be one video. It's now become a 3-part series on renewable energy.
Okay.
I literally was like, I'm gonna take all the renewable energies, and I'm gonna be as objective as possible. I'm very clearly pro renewable energy, but being a fanboy doesn't make anything better. You gotta be objective about the facts. So right. I was looking at the pros and cons of each of these different types of renewables, and it just went really, really, really long. Like, it was going to be a 25, 30-minute video, and I was like, well, let's just break this up into 3 different videos, which is great, because I can record all 3 of them and be done with it and get ahead on things, which I'm never ahead. But anyway, so the one I did on Monday, I covered geothermal and hydroelectric.
Okay.
And, there's on the hydro front, there's some really good things. It's one of the highest efficiency electric generating things in the world. I'm using really highly technical terms here. But, you also you flood a lot of land. There's a lot of people, landowners, there's a lot of people that get evacuated. The Three Gorges Dam in China is the largest energy producing plant on Earth of any kind.
Wow.
But it displaced millions of people. So I did talk about that in the video, but what was pointed out in the comments that somehow I didn't catch it, I didn't see this anywhere, was that it actually produces a lot of methane, a lot of greenhouse gases.
Really?
Because, when you flood all that land, all the vegetation dies and decomposes and bubbles up to the surface as methane. And also, runoff from the different streams that join into the reservoirs and stuff forms algae. The algae produces greenhouse gases, or when the algae dies anyway.
Yeah. So
I didn't catch that. I don't know why. Just the places that I researched didn't say it. Sure. But now I can go and do a live stream whenever I get around to doing that and say, so it turns out this is a factor as well.
Yeah.
We got to be honest about this kind of stuff.
And do you think that's part of the growth of your channel, besides just good quality content? It seems like you've really maybe because of the nature of the content a little bit, but you've really developed a full community right there. People who are coming back on a regular basis. Who I think that's such a great compliment to you, that people who do know about all these things, who are really smart people out there, are watching and continually, coming back, getting those insights and want to contribute. Dude, I mean, talk about the growth of your channel too, from when you started to, even just over this last year.
Yeah, well, that's why I was trying to, I was trying to think of when we did that last, because I think it was about 5,000.
Oh,
something like that, or two or 5,000, something like that when we talked last time.
I think it was like 2,000.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm bumping up on 50 right now.
Oh, that's incredible. Congrats,
and
man.
most of that happened this year. I want to say hit 20,000 maybe in February or March.
Okay.
So I had a really good April. No, there was one video I did on Moore's Law about the possibility that the exponential growth of computer speed is plateauing, and where do we go from there? Like, what are some solutions to that to keep that trend going? And again, for whatever reason, that one just did really, really well. And I mean, I want to say I got like 15,000 in 1 month or something like that.
Goodness.
Yeah, it was a good month.
That's amazing. So, and let's dig into that just a little bit too, like on your approach with your videos. I mean, how much is going into, deciding what to talk about when it's just something of interest to you? Are you calculating what might be of interest to the audience, might find a bigger audience?
Yeah.
Or are you just optimizing afterwards, or at all?
Well, there's it's funny because when I first got started, it was just literally anybody who asked me a question, I would answer it, because my 5 viewers out there, I had to cater to them. So I would talk about anything, but after a while, as I got more people, I was able to tell which topics were going to do better, because 15 people would ask that question instead of just one. I'm like, oh, okay, people are interested in this. And then it's gotten now to where, and I'm not sure this is a good thing or a bad thing. I need to re-examine this at some point and see if it's working. But it's gotten now to where it's like I can pretty much do a video on anything that I want to do, and then just do a search in my comments and find somebody who's asked that question. Because
there's that many people.
Generally, somebody's asked it at some point.
Yeah. That's
so
really,
it's pretty
that's
cool.
great though.
Well, it's great in the sense that if I'm interested, like if I'm really interested in something, that's going to come across in the video.
Right.
And I think people will feed off of that, and it's going to help the video do better. But again, my concern that I need to be careful about is I want to make sure that I'm not just, I'm still catering to what people want. I'm still paying attention to what's trending, and know.
Well, and it's interesting though too, because it's it's an evolution in your channel though, which I think is good. And maybe I know it's like, well, this is how I started, and I want to stay true to that. But if there's a natural evolution to that, I think that's okay.
Yeah. Okay. So another example, I did a video last week on the Tesla Model 3 event. I wasn't planning on doing that, and this is a miracle, by the way. I actually was able to plan out a content calendar through November or something like that. And I was like, yes, I'm going to stick to this. And then the Model 3 event came up, and I wound up being able to do an interview with, I was telling you about this earlier, but a guy named Ben Sullins from Teslanomics. He has a great channel on YouTube about Tesla, everything Tesla and Elon Musk.
Very cool.
So I got to do an interview with him, and so I disrupted my content calendar. I was like, no, I need to do a video on the Model 3.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is a trending thing. This is a big thing that's happening this week.
And it's right in line with your channel, like what you would talk about.
It is.
Anyway.
It is. And so you got to be flexible about that. You got to kind of read the tea leaves and
right.
If there's something that's going to perform well because of current events, something's going on, you got to be flexible enough to, incorporate that.
Oh, yeah. And so what kind of time commitment is going into this? Because it's obviously not pushing record and then maybe edit it a little bit. I mean, you're researching. What's that beginning to end of I'm gonna I pick this topic and then to the end of like publish.
Oh gosh, I wish I had a formula. It would be easier for me. it's different for each one, and something that I'm really trying to work on right now is, okay, so for example, the Tesla one was easy for me to write because I'm really into Tesla.
Yeah, so it's a lot of stuff you already knew. You knew right where to go to maybe research and pull some stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And I follow Tesla stuff all the time, so I'm pretty knowledgeable on it already. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have to go do a whole lot of research. It was all kind of right up here. And that was also another positive for me doing that, because the other video that I wanted to do, it might have been the renewables one actually. It required a lot of research. So I was like, I could just throw something together for the Tesla one, which is basically what I did. So some of them are easier, quicker, require less research, and are kind of write themselves, you could say. Okay. And I need to be trying to pepper those in every once in a while, because the grinding of doing a heavily researched video every week, it adds up, and I'm finding that the writing and the researching of it can be far more time intense than the production and the editing.
Oh yeah, I would imagine, just by the sheer nature of what you're talking about.
So, like I said, I put together a content calendar in Trello. And so I'm trying to get into a schedule where maybe like the week before it comes out, or maybe, so they come out on Monday, so I guess it'll be like a week and a half before that. Mm-hmm. I start doing the research, just kind of create an outline, figure out kind of what I want to say. For example, that renewables one I was talking about, it went through a lot of different iterations before I finally said, let's just make this 3 videos, which is the ultimate rewrite.
Right.
But a lot of times it just kind of morphs as I'm writing, and then I go walk the dog and an idea comes to me, and that's been a problem, because I've been trying, I shouldn't say problem, but an issue, when trying to bring other people in. I know a lot of YouTubers that pump out, there's a guy named Isaac Arthur, he makes 30-minute videos every week. Wow. Yeah. And I do not know how he does it. And but he's got a team of volunteers, like people who help fact check and research and stuff like that, write, contribute graphics and that kind of thing. And I want to do that, and I've tried to do that in the past, but my process is so amorphous that I can't nail it down to where, like, hey, I need you to do this for me. It's just, I don't know until I sit down and the things come out of my fingers onto the page, Right. It's frustrating in a way, but I also am a little, scared to change it because it's working.
Right.
And I certainly don't want to get formulaic, because I've watched plenty of YouTube channels that just like, here's the opening, here's what I'm going to say, here's what I'm saying, here's what I just said, subscribe, Right. I don't want to turn into that.
Right. Yeah, especially if you start to feel that from it. You feel the formula, and you feel the routine of it.
Yeah.
No, I understand that. I think it's this is a great testament too of sort of discovery. You found this. I mean, you obviously made a very conscious decision to go start the channel and do this and take each step, but you've found your voice. But the only way that you found that is because you jumped in, and it's sad that you could have sat there for another 5 years thinking about what you might do, and you never would have come up with Answers with Joe the way it looks now, I imagine. And so, I certainly try to tell people as much as possible, just take action. Just embrace the fact that you'll hate it.
That's
2 or 3 years from now.
Everybody wants it to be perfect right out of the gate. It's not going to be. Your first videos are going to suck so hard. Mine did. My current ones do sometimes.
Whatever. But compared to what's in your head, sure, especially, and you haven't done it before, oh my goodness, it's gonna be horrible.
Who is the guy? I wish I could think of his name right now. He was on NPR. He did that whole talk about how when you're creative, there's that gap in the beginning between what you know is good and what you're doing.
Ira Glass?
Ira Glass, yes. I thought that was so brilliant, and I've been through that so many times on so many different, paths in my life and different projects I've worked on, where you just know you're capable of more than this in the beginning, and it's so easy to get discouraged and stop. Yeah. But if you can just keep going, that gap will get narrower and narrower until you at least feel like you're congruent with.
You can see the other side of the gap.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's over there.
It's right there.
Oh, if I can just throw a rope.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I love that metaphor.
Yeah, I do too.
It's so accurate. Yeah. And I've kind of, I do talk to a lot of people like, oh, I really want to start a YouTube channel. I want to do this, but excuse number 1, 2, 3, 4, 20, And I have two different sort of conflicting mindsets on that. One is you just got to go do it.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, just go do it.
Right.
And the other is that there's almost, I felt this a lot when I went to VidCon this last year. There's almost a cult of creatordom. Is that a word? Where everybody that does it says, oh, you got to do it. Just go do it. You got to do it. But I'm also kind of like, look, if you're not feeling it,
right,
then maybe that's not your thing. Then there's a million ways to express yourself and get your voice out there. It doesn't have to be this.
Right.
Find what works for you and do it, or don't. Like, don't feel pressured into. You don't have to do anything.
Right.
But if you're feeling it, do it.
Yeah, and it's such a fine line, right? To really trust your inner voice and know and hold yourself accountable and know that, oh, this is excuse number 30 today and why I'm not doing something. Or if it's like, this isn't resonating with me, this isn't for me. I like the idea of a successful YouTube channel, but I don't.
Yeah.
Everything it's going to take me to get there doesn't resonate. Well, then maybe you need to find that other channel.
I always hear people say, like, I want to do a YouTube channel, but I don't know what to say. And then I'm like, well, then don't say anything. I mean,
right. Who
says you have to have a voice? I know that's kind of against the grain and not really a nice thing to say, I guess, but...
Right. But I think it's good advice for those who just... I mean, the same people who are just like, I want to be famous. Well, okay, well, how much substance is there? And a lot of times it's that same feeling of just like, oh, I like everything that so-and-so is getting out of their very successful YouTube channel. Oh, but you got to do that every day?
Yeah.
Maybe I don't really like video.
That's true of everything. Everything takes work if you're going to be successful at it, and there's always that barrier to anybody who doesn't really want to do that work.
Yeah.
But I want to clarify just real quick. I'm not trying to be, rude or anything like that. It's just I feel like when
he hates everyone.
99% of people.
Okay.
No, but when I feel like there's this pressure that gets applied to people culturally, but also personally when they want to do YouTube and they see people being successful on YouTube, or they want to share their voice or whatever, but for whatever reason, maybe they just don't like being on camera. It's just not working. They have all these excuses and stuff. That pressure just piles up. It makes it that much harder. And if you've been putting it off for a year, now there's a year worth of, I should be doing this.
Right.
And if I'm not successful at it, oh my God, I'm such a failure, and it's like,
and you gotta just carry over to everything else you're trying to do.
Absolutely. You gotta let all that go.
Yeah.
And if you want to do it, just do it and find joy in the doing of it. Yeah. Because the doing of it is what you're going to be spending 99% of your time on.
Right.
The attention stuff is nice, but even that's fleeting.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about, again, I think you've done an amazing job with your channel. Talk to me about the program you did through YouTube in New York.
Yeah.
Was that a year ago now? How long ago was
Actually,
that?
Yeah, it was last August.
Oh, wow.
Good God, man. So that was the YouTube Next Up program.
Okay. Describe that to me a little bit.
So it's basically YouTube camp.
Okay.
Yay! Camp. Yeah. So the gist is, YouTube wants to... they want to have more creators with more views and more subscribers. Mm-hmm. More views means more money for YouTube, Sure. So the gist is they go out and they find people with channels in between 10,000 and 100,000 subscribers.
Okay.
That look like they have a lot of potential, or they feel like have potential. And you can apply for it. They do them. How many of them do they do now? Mine was in New York. They do them in LA, Toronto, I want to say Montreal. I could be wrong about that. Sydney. Anyway, they're all over the place now.
Okay.
But they only do them quarterly? No. They only do them like twice a year.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, they yeah.
So it's a big deal to
get
accepted and be able to...
Yeah, they pick 16 people out of like I think 500 applied when I got in there.
And that's right. I remember too. That's why I remember the view count too, because you were just over that 10,000 at the time.
I was like
barely,
I had the smallest channel there, I believe. Yeah, I was like 12,000, 13,000, something like that.
And it stands out just because I remember you posting about that, like in social. You're like I've got the least amount here, but I made it in and
squeaked in there. No, it was great. So I had totally forgotten I even applied. There's a buddy of mine named Greg. He's got a channel called Greg's Garage. I'll pimp him out. Nice. He's a maker, DIY kind of guy. He created his own CNC drilling platform.
Wait, is that who you did the fidget spinner?
Yeah. He made a fidget spinner and he's selling it. I don't know how much longer that fad's going to go on, but he does all kinds of stuff. He's a really great guy. He's out of Kansas City. But anyway, he got in that last spring. So that's how I knew about it, because we're in sort of a mastermind group. And so he got in and he was like, dude, you got to apply for this. It's so much fun. So I did. And then I totally forgot about it. And
which is the best, right? You weren't worried and stressed.
Well, and the way they did it was funny. I'm getting a little off track here. I'll get back to the point in a second. But they didn't just send you an email and say, you got in. They sent an email and said, you're a finalist. And it's like, oh, cool, I'm a finalist. And then they did this, live chat where they kind of explained what the whole thing was about. And you had to do like a background check, and they had to make sure you weren't molesting children and stuff. And so I did all that, and then it was just kind of like, so am I in or what? And then it anyway, yeah, it turned out I got in
for a while.
Yeah, it was just kind of weird the way they did it. It wasn't. There was no big announcement like, you got in. It was just like, okay, so we'll see you here. Okay. But the thing that I got, okay, so let's talk about what it is.
Okay.
You go up to New York, you get to hang out in the YouTube space for a week, and I hung out at Google headquarters in New York, which is like the coolest workspace you can imagine. They catered lunches every day, and just beanbag chairs and neon lights and big screens, and yeah, it was awesome. But a lot of it was stuff I already knew just from what I do and my own filmmaking background. They talked us through cameras and sound and all that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
So a lot of it was like, yeah, I already know all this. But I'm trying to remember the name of the guy who did the camera workshop, because he worked with everyone. And it was really cool. Anyway, getting off track here, but the thing that I got out of it the most was they really treat you like a rock star.
Awesome.
Like, I walked out of there thinking like I have worth in this space, and I had a little bit more of an attitude. That was when I quit my job.
Yeah. Fast morning news.
Yeah, I mean within a month, I was just like, I got back and I was like, guys, I can. Forget it. I'll talk about it. I came back and I was like, I can offer more to this company as a video YouTube specialist than what I'm doing right now. And that's what I want to be doing. And they were like, well, we're not going to go that way.
Wow.
And I was like, then I'm going to go some other way.
Because newspapers are the future.
I really shouldn't even get started. It's really sad. But it was frustrating, and it was validation for. Ever since I left, I've had more validation that this is the direction media is going.
So recently, this is something that's super cool. You were telling me about an agency or a company out of Los Angeles that has reached out to you.
Yeah. I can't say the name yet because it's not official, but it's a very large, very well-established production company out of LA that does commercials. They've got a roster of commercial directors. I want to say they've even gotten into features, possibly.
Oh, wow.
But
they've worked with George Clooney.
But anyway, they reached out to me, and it blew my mind that they reached out to me, because let me put it this way. So I've had MCNs reach out to me. MCNs are multi-channel networks. Okay. And I can talk about that a little bit if you want, but basically they don't do much for you unless you have 100,000 subscribers.
Gotcha. Okay.
They're basically just taking part of your revenue until you get to 100,000, and then they're like, we're going to focus on you now. But these guys reached out and were basically offering to do the kinds of things that normally a channel has to have 100,000 subscribers to get.
Like what?
Like actual representation, basically. They'll hook you up with brands.
Okay, so be that mediator, be that.
Yeah,
okay.
Almost service as a PR type person. Hook you up with other creators and podcasts and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Media. But anyway, so they reached out to me and I got on the phone with them. I was expecting there to be one guy on the other end of the phone. There were 5. It was like everybody on deck to talk to me. That's whoever the hell I am, right? And
you're Joe Scott, damn it.
Well,
that's who.
I'm not trying to be humble here, but to me it blew me away that this company that's been doing very high-end stuff, very well established for a long time, said there's so much opportunity in this YouTube space, we need to go that direction.
Yeah.
And focus a big chunk of our, company in that direction. And it's just that further validation to me that this is still a growing thing that people are wanting to get into and put money into and invest in. And it's exciting. I don't know how far this is going to go, but it's still going up somehow.
It is, and I think it's just interesting because when you're in that space, you feel like everyone's got a YouTube channel, and everyone's got a podcast, and all of that, but there's so few people who are really truly doing it, and there's so much opportunity to still jump in and be able to stand out from everyone else, certainly in your industry outside of YouTube and all those things. That you can really stand out by just waving a flag and say, hey, I'm here, I'm creating content, I'm somebody who teaches, I'm somebody who interviews, whatever that may be. It's just incredible opportunity.
And to pile on top of that, when I went to VidCon a couple months ago, June, they I got in on the industry track this year, which was fun. And I don't know if this experience was different because I was on the industry track or if there's really something that's changing in the industry. But I had so many people that I met at the different functions, parties, networking events and stuff that were people that just worked for brands or nonprofit organizations and stuff who were just like, yeah, we just really want to know what this is all about. And it's kind of funny to me they spent like $700 to get in on the industry track just to learn all this stuff. Yeah, and they don't even have anything yet.
Wow.
But I just met so many people that were like, yeah, I work for this company, this marketing group, this nonprofit, this brand, and we really need to get into this space and learn more about it. So I feel like there's still a majority of brands and companies out there that are just now dipping their toes into it.
Yep.
And so you're just going to be seeing more of this. It might become saturated eventually, and we keep thinking it's going to be saturated or it's already saturated. And I know I've said that already. I feel like I'm just blown away by how it's not slowing down.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. So this is all of this that you're doing and you have going on is one piece, right? Like one piece of what you have going on
of my life.
Yeah, of your life. Tell me a little bit about Cankerboy, where you are with it now, because again, for the full history, send people over to Startup Dallas and really dig in. I think it's actually an amazing product. But we were talking earlier too how to sort of blend the two worlds together as well. But tell me a little bit about what that is.
So, just for the brief 5-second pitch, Cankerboy is a vitamin supplement that I created that prevents recurring mouth ulcers and canker sores. Yep. This is a condition that I and many people in my family have had my whole life. It's not fun. And at a certain point, I was just like, I'm going to find an answer to this. And so I turned myself into a guinea pig, and I researched all this stuff, and I found this vitamin combination that worked. So I bottled it and manufactured it, and now I'm selling it. And
you're absolutely, what blew me away the most, like even back at our other interview and some other testimonials that I've seen of just, it's I will not throw this phrase around lightly. It is life-changing for people. People who are just, if you've ever had them, just pain. If you had one, it's just this horrible, painful, awful thing. And you had people reaching out who had 10, 12, 15, always.
Yeah, the one that, I'd say the first really great testimonial that I got was a guy in Australia who said he always has 10 to 12 at a time. And And I'm always a little nervous because I don't want it to not work for people.
Right.
And when people have them that severely, I'm always like, that might be a totally different thing. That could be a health condition that this might not do anything for.
Right.
But no, he was getting those 10 to 12 at a time, started taking it. He said within 3 weeks they were gone. And he hadn't had any since. And I'm just like, oh my God. I mean, that's, I never expected it would work that well.
Wow.
You know, something else that's been surprising is I know that teenagers get canker sores more. A lot of kids will get them in their, teenage years and their hormonal years. And then it'll go away as they get older. I wasn't lucky enough. I kept getting them, but maybe I'm still a teenager, who knows? But I found that it actually works especially well for them.
Oh,
and I don't know, again, I think it's just the body changing and the hormones and things going all, wonky in your body. But I've had a lot of people, legally I have to say for 18 and up. Gotcha. It's just a legal thing. But I've had people as young as, I think I had somebody 9 years old that was taking it.
Wow.
Or the mom reached out to me about it. And it seems to work especially well for them. So
that's great.
What some of my favorite testimonials and emails that I get are actually from the parents who, there was one that really kind of broke my heart. Not broke my heart, but made me feel good. One of those things where she said that she got them her whole life. And she said the worst day of her life was when her son started getting them.
Oh.
Because she knew she had passed this curse. That's a word that gets used a lot. Onto her son.
Oh.
And then she came across my video, or however she came across my channel, and she ordered it and it worked. And she sent me this lovely email about how, again, she felt awful that she passed this on, but now she knows that there's a solution for him and she can't thank me enough and all this kind of stuff. And I mean, it'll bring a tear to my eye sometimes.
Oh, yeah, it has to. I mean,
I wasn't expecting that when starting this company. I wasn't expecting to get emotional over it.
So how are you getting this out to more people? Because I know you're in the figuring that out stage.
I am
quite a bit. But you certainly, I mean, you're bringing some of those eyeballs from Answers with Joe to it with sponsorship and reading some of those testimonials out. What else are you doing and what else can you be doing? What else should you be doing to get this out more?
I was about to say, the real answer is what am I not doing and should be? I do have a Cankerboy YouTube channel. I should probably pimp that out a little bit. There's not a whole lot on there. I keep saying I'm going to be putting more content on there, but...
if only you knew something about YouTube.
If only I had an extra hour in the day to do that. No, I mean, so this is what I was saying before. They weren't here for that. But on one hand, I have Answers with Joe, which is growing. And on the other hand, I have a channel with 10 subscribers. And nobody's over there. So which one of these would be better to promote the product? So I'm using Answers with Joe to promote it. At the end of every video, it's like, this video is brought to you by Cankerboy.com. Quick message about what it does. Go there, blah, blah, blah. I include it in the podcast that I do now, and it's I have AnswersWithJoe.com now. That's new. I don't think we've talked about that, but
okay.
I have an ad on the sidebar for Cankerboy, and I lead people to it from there. So I do need to be doing more content for Cankerboy, and obviously sharing those on Answers with Joe and other platforms that I have available. It's just number of hours in the day.
Sure.
But I'm running out of excuses.
That's what I'm trying to point out.
Yeah, I know I am.
Life-changing product. Not telling people about it.
I didn't come on your video to get shamed, man.
That's what I do.
That's what my mom's for.
I trick people into getting in the car. No, because
no, I do need to get on it.
And I know you've got those resources, but I also know exactly what you're describing, which is, when do you possibly fit that in? You're full-time at VidPal, working for other people's channels there, optimizing. You've got your own that's not just like, hey, let's throw up a video. It's a time commitment kind of show. And now here's a third big giant thing. A third full-time job, right? So yeah, it's definitely tough.
I was going a little crazy for a while trying to manage all three, and it just became simpler and, in my mind, a little more effective possibly to just focus on the two. Well, one being my full-time job, which you have to focus on, and the other being the thing that's growing and that's getting, what is it now? Almost 900,000 views a month.
Oh, that's so great. And because, because too, like ultimately, big picture wise, the more, if you have any platform, and certainly your own in that world, in that space, it's only going eventually somehow help you on the other side of things, on anything else you want to do.
Right.
So I think I think that's really smart.
And eventually, I've got a commercial that I've shot for Cankerboy. I'm trying to get the strategy down and tie it in with everything else I've got going on and make sure it works. And I'm being a little too cautious about it. Probably I should just put it out there. I probably should just put it out there. But I do have a really great commercial, and some guys helped me out with it and did a fantastic job. And there's a part of me that's just like dying to put it out there because I think it's a really good commercial. So I'll get on it. Fine. Gosh.
Do it. Right now. You don't get out of the car until you load up that.
All right. Let me just do all this on my phone here. And,
there we go.
Let me just launch a business while we're
right
in the thing.
Because that's what I do. Well, no, but I think you're doing a good job in incorporating, even in certain pieces. Because I don't think it certainly doesn't make sense to just mash the two things together or try to force something where it doesn't go. I think you're finding a way to trickle that in to make just having Cankerboy sponsor the show. I think that's good. So
there's arguments to be made that I'm doing something right there, but I also have to be honest with myself and say the trickling thing has been trickling long enough. It's time to open up a floodgate or two. And,
I can see that.
So I'm really hoping that in the next few months, definitely by the end of the year, I can get that strategy launched and get that going.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to it because I think it is something that just needs to get in front of more people. Just more people to find it for sure.
And you know what? It's easy for me to forget that. That this is actually something that can really help people out. When you get caught up in the grind of just getting everything done, and it becomes marketing decisions and business decisions, and it's easy to forget that, there's somebody out there that's suffering right now that could really benefit from this.
Right.
And
for sure. And it is tough to remind yourself of that. I'm sure that, getting emails helps a lot, and it's a smack in the face. You're like, oh yes, I got to get that. But it does. When you've got to, but you also have to treat it like a business. You have to think in terms of those marketing decisions and where to put it out, and where, and then you're wrapped up into the data and the decisions and the business of it all. It gets tough to balance those two those two thought processes.
Yeah.
So,
and also we're always our own worst agency. Yeah. That's the part that I really beat myself up on, because I do this for other companies day in, day out,
and then when it becomes yourself on one side, but then when it becomes my own product and my own business, it's just like I don't know what to do. Who can I talk? Exactly. There's got to be somebody that can do this for me. I don't know how to do this. And it is the most it's the most baffling thing, because I tell people that all the time. I'll have friends who are starting a business, or somebody wants to do this podcast or do this show. Like, what should I do? It's like, oh, easy. Here it is. And,
and you take none of that advice yourself.
Exactly. And I'm like, but for me, I'm different. I don't know where exactly, because I've got all these things. So I've finally been kicking my own ass enough to get out of that mode. But it is so ridiculously difficult. And I talk to more people, and everybody goes through it, right? Like
everybody. That actually makes me feel a little better knowing that I'm not the only idiot out there.
And that's why
we all do it.
Yeah, and honestly though, that's why a business coach, a mastermind group like you mentioned before, like they're so valuable, because you need someone to hold up that mirror to you, even if you have all the answers inside. You need somebody to pull them out of you, and so that you can give yourself some advice and you know what to do.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a tough thing, but it's also you've got all the ingredients, right? Like everything's there, and so that's the empowering part.
Right.
It's like you can do this.
It's really just hard to just make yourself step back and be like, this isn't my company. This is a client. What would I tell the client to do?
Yeah.
How would I help them to get there? And then
but you have to constantly like put yourself in that mindset and treat it like that way, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's awesome. I think you're doing just amazing things. I love that your channel's growing like crazy.
It's exciting.
And that engagement with it, right? Like, it would be one thing if you just had viewers, and even with that ticking up and going, but you have this dialogue with them, and that's got to be so fulfilling, you know?
So, kind of what we were talking about earlier. Sorry, let me stop my phone. Talking earlier about how I'm not an expert on things, nor am I playing one on TV.
Sure.
I think that's part of it. And I always, whenever people talk about what works on YouTube, it always comes back to authenticity to me. I don't go out there and say, even though my channel is called Answers with Joe, I certainly don't try to pretend I have all the answers. It's more like, join me in my journey of trying to find the answers.
Right, because it's with you, not from you.
Yeah.
I think that's a very precise use of language, though, you know?
Yeah, and so people, a lot of the comments that I get where they're being highly praising of me, they're always like, you seem like a really genuine guy. You seem like you're not, putting on a show, that you're really doing this earnestly, and they love that I make mistakes, and I love that I cop up to my mistakes. I don't, double down and how dare you try to correct me.
Right.
Because a lot of people will. A lot of people do exactly that.
Oh, yeah.
But so, again, going back to, I went to VidCon a couple of months ago, and if you've never been to VidCon, it's a madhouse. It's crazy. It's chaos.
Big giant convention. Yeah, we didn't kind of dig into that, just assuming everyone knows what VidCon is.
Well, it's insane. So basically, you're looking at 40,000 screaming teenage girls, mostly, and a bunch of dads just doing this the whole time. But so I ran into a couple of people that were at the Next Up thing, actually.
Oh, okay.
And
cool.
their audience is the teenage girl kind of thing, and I don't say that to be pejorative. I mean, it's a very big audience, and
massive audience,
and they should be spoken to,
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that is their audience, and I was hanging out with them, and this is my third year to go to VidCon, and every year I'm like, maybe somebody will recognize me. Maybe somebody will come up and be like, "Are you Joe Scott?" Hasn't happened yet. But these girls, one of them is Hannah Hoffman. I'll go ahead and promote them. Hannah Hoffman is she does animations and illustrations and stuff like that. The other one, her name is Crystal Joy. Great ladies, both of them. Really great channels. But they have that audience that's at VidCon, and they were rock stars, man. Just getting swarmed. And so Hannah actually has a pretty huge channel right now. I think she's about 300,000.
Oh, my goodness.
Crystal is actually a little bit below mine in terms of subscribers. But they were both just swamped. Like, constantly, people running out, can I get a picture with you and all that?
And that goes back to what we were talking about before with the agencies paying attention to this, the direction this is going. That is the new media so much. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
the YouTube stars, there's a term called micro-famous that I've heard, and I consider myself to be micro-famous. Because when people do meet me that are channels or that follow my channel, I'm like a famous person to them. They see me on my screen all the time, and they see me in this two-dimensional plane, and then like I'm right in front of them, like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm in front of you right now. But to everybody else on the planet, I'm just another dude, So it's micro-famous to me means to the people that know you, you're like a famous person. But there's not very many people who know you.
Well, but and it's so interesting though. Two points to that. One is these different pockets. Whether it's, there's people in the internet marketing space who, if I saw them on the street, I'd be like, oh my
Yeah.
oh my gosh, like that's, and 1,000 people will walk by them and they're like, yeah, who's that? Like, so there is that phenomena, but it's also using that power to, I mean, if you're a real estate agent, if you're, a financial advisor, using this platform, I tell people constantly, there is a genuine, benefit, whatever you want to call it, there is that celebrity factor that plays into, if you can get in front of people and really develop an audience of people who are, and you're getting your content in front of them, when you do run into them on, at a networking event or something else, they are going to have that feeling like you would have if you ran into one of these, people. I mean, it's not like we're talking about the same thing if somebody walks in and it's George Clooney, it's massive, famous, and worldwide and stuff like that.
Walk into a room and everybody turns.
But at the core, that human response is exactly the same thing. There is that recognition. It's like, oh, because I do that with people. I just watch their stuff and I walk into a room and I'm like, oh, and you can't stop looking at it. You're like, oh, oh, that's interesting.
They exist in real life.
Yeah, and you can generate that by utilizing this platform and stuff like that.
Right.
And again, it's all, a byproduct and stuff, but it's a fascinating medium.
And it's funny, I mean, again, going back to VidCon, I see, science YouTubers, Smarter Every Day, Veritasium, It's Okay to Be Smart, those guys. And I do the same thing. I'm just like, oh my God, that's Dustin. Whoa. But when I went to New York, actually, for the Next Up thing, turns out I had a few people there that actually they support me on Patreon. And
cool.
So we did a tiny meetup. It was just a couple of people, but it was an oyster bar of all places, but it was right down the street from the hotel. But anyway, they both did the same thing. They showed up at different times, but both of them were like, I can't believe I'm sitting in front of you. This is so weird. But I've had that exact same response to other people.
Yeah.
So I get it. I know what they're coming from.
Yeah, it's an amazing dynamic, and I just think it's fun. I just think it's an amazing human thing that happens. I think it's really cool.
So, and I don't know exactly. I mean, I could guess what I'm doing that would help people to form the sort of bond that I'm talking about here with me. But again, I didn't get swarms of people at VidCon, but I do get emails from Nepal.
Oh, wow.
And people that I've gotten emails from people that say that my channel gave them a different perspective on the world and helped them out of a dark place. And,
really?
I get stuff like that. People will tell me that I've changed their lives somehow. Which can be a real trip, actually.
Yeah.
And for a while I had... This was one of the most interesting things that I had to learn running this channel was that, you're going to get the trolls, you're going to get the crap comments all the time. And sometimes you wake up and it's just like 10 in a row. You're like, seriously? That's a great way to start the day. But it's really the super positive ones that you got to look out for. Because... what wound up happening with me was I was just doing this channel and being funny. I'm talking about things that I find interesting, and it wasn't really anything more than that. And then I started getting these emails from people that are like, your videos have changed my life. Well, now suddenly, every time I do a video, it has to change someone's life, right?
Yeah.
And I had to get over that because my videos suffered. I was putting too much into them.
Interesting.
And the real trip for me was learning to sort of get over myself and let go of having that objective, and just understanding and being okay with and accepting that whatever it is I'm doing, for whatever reason, it's having this effect on people.
Yeah.
Not everybody, but on some people.
Yeah.
And it's really not for me to judge, and it's not for me to try to alter in any way.
Or figure it out.
Right, yeah, like it's none of my business why they get what they get out of it. And it's none of my business why people might hate it. And I do have my haters now.
Sure.
I love when I do a live stream and before I even get on there, I've got 2 thumbs downs. But it's a real weird psychological thing to just say, people are going to get what they're going to get out of it. All I can do is just be myself and do what feels right to me.
Yep.
and what they get out of it is none of my business.
But I think that lesson is so incredibly valuable, because what you've just described, people need to apply across the board in whatever they're doing, whether business, their life, their relationships. I think that's incredibly important.
And the thing is, I've seen so many different videos on being a YouTuber. I've taken classes and I've taken courses and workshops and seen seminars. I've never heard anybody talk about that.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever really talked about it the way I just did, and I'm not trying to claim that I have some special insight or anything, but it was just something that kind of blindsided me. I really wasn't expecting that
and
challenge.
Should be talked about in this space, in this context. I think so. I think that's great. Well, so Joe, how can people follow along?
Well, I do have answerswithjoe.com now, which is a good place to go. I try to get all my videos on there. They should all be on there, so you can go and check those out. I also I'm at Answers with Joe on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram. I'm not great about keeping up with those things, but you can reach out to me there if you want to. I still don't have a custom URL for YouTube, so if you go to YouTube and just search for Answers with Joe, you can do that.
You'll find it.
But yeah, that's where you can find me.
That is awesome. Thanks so much for jumping in.
Yeah, thanks, man.
And we'll see you folks on the next one. Thanks so much to Joe for being on. Had a great time driving around and really catching up and there's a lot of things I've been wanting to ask him for a while on thoughts about what he's done, to really build out his community and how that's felt and how he's managed all of it. So just amazing insights from all of that. I'm anxious to see where he takes his channel from now. And as well as Cankerboy, developing that out and getting that in front of even more people. So if you like interviews like this, make sure you subscribe here on YouTube. And if you're listening on iTunes, hit the subscribe button, leave us a review if you will. We'll see you on the next one.
It's Saturday night. It was Saturday night and I'm feeling kinda silly. Winter coat on cause the air was chilly, but I'ma make my way out to the record spot. Gotta find some new breaks for the beats to rock. I gotta come with the flavor like some lifesavers. On now and late is Dr. Beatmaker. If I'm a player, it's like your tape deck. And if you miss the gig, then take a rain check. Stacks of wax piled high to the ceiling, need a U-Haul truck if I would think about stealing. But it's not my steed, so I commence with the digging, no kidding. Something that'll keep the beats hitting what I'm getting. So much to choose from, bro.